Hi everyone, thanks for joining us on Life with the Beckers. So today we're going to be making some homemade pumpkin pie. It's a recipe that Carm kind of came up with and is like altered over the time that she's made it. So let's check out the Becker bullets and we'll get right into it.
Here are our ingredients. So we have our can of pumpkin, we have our sweetened condensed milk and our evaporated milk. We won't use quite all the evaporated milk, but you will need 2 cans if you can only get the 12 ounce. If you can find an 8 ounce can, then 2 of those will work as well, but there won't be any left over. And then we have sea salt, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, 6 medium eggs or 4 large eggs, whichever you'd prefer. And then I like to use, this is one of my secrets for making it easy and quick, a deep dish pie crust. You can buy them a pack of 2 of the 9-inch crusts at the store, name brand or generic, and that'll save you a ton of time and make it much easier. So that's all of our ingredients. So we'll measure out our spices. Do that first. So we're going to do a double batch, which is enough for 2 pies. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and we'll just do 1 teaspoon each of both ground nutmeg and ground ginger. And then we'll just mix that up so that it's nice and all one consistency. And then we'll set that aside for now and we'll be adding that in later. We'll go ahead and we'll preheat the oven to 425. I'm going to be using my power mixer. You could also use a hand mixer, or you could be using just your hand and a good old regular old-fashioned whisk, whatever you have available, but I'm going to go ahead and use this. So we'll crack all our eggs into our mixing bowl, and you are going to want to use a pretty big bowl for this, especially if you're doing a double batch. All right, so now we're just gonna get these whisking. Perfect. Don't want to over mix it, but just want to make sure it's nice and fluffy, and that's how I like to make mine. So now we will add the pumpkin. I'm going to start with just a little bit and we'll kind of incorporate it as we go. Just gonna make sure it's all totally incorporated. This is the point where I'm going to transfer it to a bigger bowl because I'm doing a double batch and I know it's going to overflow my mixer if I put too much of these canned milks in there. So we're going to go ahead and transfer it over to here. So we'll start with the sweetened condensed milk. We'll add that. Now we'll do our 2 cups of evaporated milk. I'm going to switch to the whisk here just to keep it nice and light and fluffy. All right, so I have 1 more cup of milk, but I'm going to add my spices now. So here's that mix of a couple different types. We'll do our 2nd cup of evaporated milk. So here's my dilemma, YouTube. That's like so close to being a cup. I'm just gonna add my own 1% milk to that so that I don't open a whole nother can and waste it. I could use movie magic and lie and say that it all just was evaporated milk, but that's not my style. And I've definitely done that before. It's no big deal. So if you would rather just use a little bit of milk that you have at your house, doesn't really matter what kind. I'd probably recommend dairy milk though. Otherwise, it doesn't quite turn out quite how you're thinking. Unless it's coconut milk, that's probably fine. But now what we have is a nice big bowl of pumpkin pie filling. So now we will set up our crusts and then we'll pour it in and we'll get cooking. So what we're gonna do, I double stacked some jelly roll pans just so that I have something really sturdy to carry these because this is very liquid and so it can be really sloshy. So yeah, I'm gonna place the crusts next to each other here. And then we'll just start pouring into this one closer to me first. And you don't want to overfill it, but you do want to give it enough. So I'm going to stop right about there and we'll go into this one. Again, keeping an eye on it, don't want to overfill it. There's kind of like an edge on these pre-made crusts. It's pretty easy to see. Once you get to that point, you want to stop. Otherwise, it can overflow and cause some burning. Okay, I do have a little bit left over, but it looks like that's all that these crusts are gonna let me put in there, so I'm gonna stop there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put these in the oven, and I will figure out what I'm gonna do with the rest of this. Okay. And we'll set a timer for 15 minutes. Now that that timer is up, we'll go ahead and we'll reduce the temperature to 350. So now that the first 25 minutes is done, we'll go ahead and we'll set another timer for 10 minutes for the full amount of time, and then I'm going to check and see where these pies are at. How done they are, that is. Oh, that one's still pretty jiggly. Yeah, very jiggly, but that is okay. You do like a little bit of a jiggle in your pie. At least I do. Yep, very, very wet still. So we'll let that keep cooking for another 10 minutes and we'll check it again.
2 minutes left.
They're looking quite poofy and nice. And you do want a little bit of a jiggle in your pie still.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Even better.
Yep. They're definitely ready. I like my pie to not be overcooked, so we're gonna go ahead and take these out.
Oh my goodness. Have you guys ever seen such beautiful pies? So we crushed up some graham crackers. We're gonna try to use the rest of the mix that we have over here.
So we just have a tablespoon of white sugar and a tablespoon of brown sugar.
I thought you were gonna say a tablespoon of graham crackers. I was like,
Just a tablespoon. Just gonna stir that sugar and crackers together. And then we'll add our half a stick of melted butter. Oh, look out. That's okay, we don't need that. And then we're just gonna stir it together until it kind of looks like wet sand. And it should kind of stick together. It's not sticking a whole lot though. I think I'm gonna do more butter. Quick, doctor, more butter. So I just did another tablespoon of melted butter, maybe a little bit more, because I don't want too much butter, I know that. There we go. Okay, and now we're gonna press this into here. And I don't know if I should butter it or not, so I am gonna hope that this butter in this crust is enough. And we'll see if I live to regret that. So we want to kind of push it up against the sides. That way we have like a edge going around. Because if the pumpkin pie mix is just up against the edge of the pan, it will burn pretty quickly. This definitely isn't going to be perfect, but that's okay. This one's for just our house, so we'll just worry about it tasting good, and we won't worry about how it looks too much. Probably ought to give this a stir. Just because it's been sitting here for a few minutes while I've been cooking the other batch. So we'll just make sure it didn't separate or sink to the bottom, and then I'm just going to pour it in here.
Nice.
Perfect. And then I'm going to bake this at 350 for probably 20 minutes or so and check it then. So this has been in for almost 25 minutes now. It's not quite poofed up yet, but it looks like it's getting ready to start. So it has kind of that nice top layer cooked. I'm going to give it another 5 minutes and check it again, and we'll see where it's at. Okie dokie, so this one came out clean too. This one ended up being a total of 45 minutes in this style pan just because it is a lot thicker walled. It has a little bit more time than it needed, and I also didn't cook this one at 425. I just cooked it at 350 because I didn't want to burn this one because it was a lot thinner. So this is kind of how this one turned out. So, you know, ended up with a little bit of a bonus pie there. So if you end up with a little bit too much, there you go. Or if you just want to cut down on any of those like milk add-ins, that would also help reduce that volume. So there you go. So here are the pies now that they're done cooling off. They've kind of settled into their normal position. So this is kind of how they'll look. They're still a bit warm, so we're going to let them cool off the rest of the way, but that's kind of the finished product. So not so much on this one. We'll just cover that one. Don't look at that one. But look how good this one looks. Brand spanking new from the store. You wouldn't even know, except for I poked a hole in mine to check it. So yeah, you can tell everybody this is a homemade baked pie. They won't believe you. And then they'll see the poke mark and they'll go, it had to have been. But yeah, sometimes they turn out like this, but that's still okay. It's just that this one's prettier. It's more photogenic. Well, as you can see, the pie fared fairly well, as in it's almost all gone. But it's been sitting in the fridge for a day or so now, and it's like perfect. Once it's sat in the fridge for like 24 hours, there's just something to the chemistry of the fridge. It makes it taste chef's kiss. But here's just kind of like a cutout example. Give you a little bit of the cutting action here. Let's see. Yep. Perfect. But yep. There you go in all its glory. At least what's left of it.
Oh, pie.
Glorious pie. So yeah, couple like just thoughts in closing, things that I would change or do differently. The first thing is I had it pointed out in a comment in another video that I was using a dry ingredients measuring cup for my liquid ingredients, and that's true, I was. And so when measuring liquid ingredients, you want to use the actual liquid cup, you know, the one that has a little pour spout measurements on the side, or something that's designed for that specifically. So
like wet for wet and dry for dry.
Yeah, thank you. So that was one thing that I did incorrect that I would change now. The second thing is my pie crust. A couple of things on that. One, overall, I would use a different kind, actually. I would use the kind that comes like rolled up in a tube that you put in the fridge, not the freezer. And roll it out into your own pan. And the reason why is because I feel like those crusts were drier this year than they have been the last few years. They were smaller this year. Like actual capacity was less.
Which is probably why we had some extra.
Yeah, that and then using the wrong measuring cup. So
Yeah.
between the two of them, that's kind of what happened there. So I would kind of change the crust a bit. I would still do it that way because I don't want to make a homemade crust, but that one kind of gives you that feel. So you can make the fun wavy top and all that kind of stuff. So those are the two things that I would change. If you are using the frozen crusts, a couple things is to let them thaw out on the counter, like completely, before you bake them. Because I had my pan jump in the oven, where it kind of like the heat change between the frozen pie and the hot oven made it twist, and that kind of made all that wet pie filling that wasn't cooked go all over.
Yeah, it kind of popped it up and it like leaked over. That's why on the one pie that Carm covered up, that's why it's like
the ugly one. But yeah, so those are kind of the things that I would do differently going forward. The last thing is my little mini pie that I made with a graham cracker crust. It ended up being a little bit chewy, so I would have left that one in the oven for less time and kind of left it more soft and jiggly. I waited till it was all the way cooked, and then when I ate it, it was a little bit chewier than I would have liked. So those are kind of just my like, you know, hindsight's 2020. That's what I would change. So if you're doing it, that's what I would worry about changing from that. But yeah, like Jesse said, that's a recipe that's always changing. So if you find one that works better, please put it in the comments below. If you found a better substitute or anything like that, let us know. If you found a great pie crust that doesn't cause trouble, you know, anything like that, definitely fill us in. But it was definitely enjoyable to make. We definitely ate them. Jesse definitely ate some of that pie, guys. He did. Don't laugh. I may have ate most of that pumpkin pie, but you know, that's the benefit of making more than one at a time, is you don't have to be stingy with pie. So yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed our little recipe. Hope you enjoyed our video. If you did, leave us a comment. If you really enjoyed it, subscribe. We definitely could use it.
we just hit 100 subscribers.
Woo! I know, but it's a big deal for us.
Oh yeah, you want my autograph?
Oh yes, we're going to talk to some really important people.
We're quite
also
famous.
YouTube people tomorrow. Yeah, we're all grabbing lunch. No, but you know, if you enjoy our quirkiness, then share it with your friends if they'll enjoy it. And again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.